Gio gets on. I look at him like, okay, what do you got? What's that on your hat? Aloe, or is it just a penis?
It's aloe. It's a brand. It's like a yoga brand. They're like the new Lululemon.
Are you into yoga?
Not really. I just
So
like
yoga.
I like yoga clothes.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pitching Ninja Show podcast. This week I'm joined by three of my friends, Michael Fisher from Codify and two White Sox pitchers. One being noted psychopath and all-star closer Liam Hendriks, the other being starter and all-around great dude Lucas Giolito. This conversation goes way out of control very quickly, but it's a ton of fun. These guys are awesome. So without further ado, here are Michael Fisher, Liam Hendriks, and Lucas Giolito. Let's get started. We were talking about Genevieve over in Australia, the awesome pitcher. And we are talking, I think, Liam, you mentioned that you played with, you had women on your team growing up in Australia. Lucas, you were about to mention that before, before the mirror incident.
Yep.
Why don't you guys talk about the importance of having women in baseball?
I mean, so I grew up, we had junior national champions every year as under 14s, under 16s, under 18s. And our under 14s and under 16s teams both had a girl, and her name was Chelsea. She came up through the system with us. Then she moved on to the women's Australian team and advanced from there. But yeah, it's been something that hasn't been super abnormal to me. I think it's one of those things where it's the more people that are engrossed in baseball, whatever gender, whatever kind of floats your boat kind of goes through it. It's better for the game because the more people that watch, the more people that get entertained, the more people that tune in because of a certain demographic or anything like that comes through. But it's an inclusive sport. We want everybody who can pick up a ball, who can throw a ball, to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think Liam put it very well there. I think that promoting inclusivity at all levels, from little league to the professional level, even in like baseball operations, you see a lot more women working in front offices. You know, we have our first woman general manager of a major league team. Yeah, I played with girls. I played with women growing up. Little league at the lowest level, there was a girl in our league doing really well. I played on a junior league team where there was a girl on my team. Again, I don't know, maybe it was something about being in Southern California, but it was like, cool, this is great. And then in high school, I competed against a girl. She was a pitcher, and you would have fun looking at some of her stuff, Rob. Her name is Marty Cementelli, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think she played for Team USA for a period of time on the women's national team, and she like threw the kitchen sink. She didn't have like the most velocity, but like she threw like 8 pitches, I think, including a knuckleball. So yeah, she always kind of gave guys a hard time whenever she'd pitch against us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys saw her throw, right?
Genevieve?
Yeah, I watched the videos. I mean, you got to check out the Australian Baseball League every now and then just to make sure that how the talent's coming through. But yeah, she did a fantastic job. Nice little scoreless inning in there.
Absolutely. So one thing I wanted to touch on is, Liam, what is up with a 16.14 strikeout to walk ratio last year? Like, who does that? How did you do that?
I did it by striking guys out and not walking anybody.
Why did I ask that question?
I know it.
No, it was like my biggest thing is I've always hated walks. It was one of my things when I was the starter throwing 90, and it just kind of transpired and kept over. But usually the first like half of the year, I tend to be a little bit more around, like less around the zone. I get behind in counts, and then I'm trying to overthrow pitches and stuff like that. This year I kind of was pretty good in that at the start of it. But yeah, my biggest thing is like, look, if I'm going to put a guy on base, they may as well earn it, because at the end of the day, you're going to get out 7 out of 10 times on average. So if I can go out there and just throw, even if it's a middle fastball, or if it's a competitive pitch, whatever it is, if it's in the zone, I know that I'm going to do better than most every other time. So why do I bother nibbling? And I mean, I think Fish, you put it on your social media and stuff like that. I had the highest swing percentage or foul percentage or something like that last year. So people weren't afraid to swing. So that helped obviously a lot when I was getting some early contact as well.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not like you're not what people picture as a command specialist. Like you're not the Greg Maddux. You're throwing 100 out there, and also with that, with those stats, that's insane.
Right, but
I
how
think the
often is he?
highest, sorry, go ahead.
How often is he nibbling in his mind versus the average pitcher? You know, he's
Yeah, I try
sound
not to nibble.
mechanically. He's sound
It's
mechanically, and he's got a blue ocean on his map. So
It's pitching without
mean,
fear.
yeah,
That helps a lot when you go out there with knowing that no matter what you throw, it's going to be winning. It's going to be able to beat the hitter. That helps a lot. But I mean, you look at it like the other guys that are up there with the strikeout to walk ratio are guys like Richard Blyer. I mean, I play with him, and he's a sinker ball lefty guy that throws around the zone. That's his shtick, and there's guys around there. But yeah, the whole strikeout to hi Olive. So the whole shtick was like, why would I try and put people on when I know that if I throw it in the zone, I'm going to have success? And that was just one of the things. It's like you attack with fastballs. I think there was so I think I had 7 walks last year. 6 of them were unintentional. And there was a couple in there that I'm not happy with myself on because I overthrew a couple pitches. But generally, there was some times where that's all it was. Every time I walked out, I was overthrowing pitches to try and make them miss. And that's not what you need to do. You need to go out there and throw strikes, and what'll be will be.
Did you get a black and white dog because of the White Sox?
No, kind of actually, because it was through a rescue called Plays for Pits. She was dropped off at a firehouse in Chicago during the season this year. Plays for Pits has been an organization we've worked with since we've been on the board since 2014, and they put a bid in. Didn't think anything of it because they're a pit bull rescue. They won the bid, and then it was like, okay, all of our normal fosters are full. We don't have anywhere to put her. Would you guys mind taking her because she's a purebred, at that point, purebred unspayed Dalmatian. So it was like, okay, we don't want to send her to anybody because she can either be sold or bred or anything like that. So we want to stay away from that. So she came to us. It was only meant to be temporary, but yeah, she's my little darling right now. She sleeps with me on the couch whenever I get done with my day. She's on the couch with me, and then right now she's just staring at me, wanting the baseball that's in my hands. So
my dog would usually be doing that. So how much did the maps help you with confidence for that? Like, does using Codify? I know you famously just totally forget about it during the game, but you know how to attack everybody. Does that give you extra confidence to attack the zone, or is it just because you're freakishly talented at throwing strikes?
I'd like to say freakishly talented, but not even a little bit. It's purely like I look at it as a way. Okay, where do I have the most room for error? So fastballs, you're generally up in the zone. So like if I get up in the zone, I'm going to be fine. And then I'm looking at a hitter, and it's like, okay, which breaking ball is better? Is it the curveball or is it the slider? And that makes it easier to kind of define a role in there. So I'm like, okay, first pitch fastball, that's my starting off point. And then it's, okay, judge the swing. And then you go from there, and you kind of mix and match, because at the end of the day, if someone's sitting fastball, yeah, they may have struggled against it in the past, but if they're sitting it, I mean, they're professional hitters out there. They're not easy to get out. It's just one of those things where you need to be able to read the at bat. But it's a really good starting off point for me. And plus, it's very, very, for me, it's very basic, because it's like, okay, blue good, red bad. Stay in the blue.
I like it. So, Lucas, you have famously 2 different changeups. Do you admit you admit having 2 different changeups, right?
Kind of. I mean, I throw them the same way. It's just like the finish, pretty much.
So that's interesting, because like I've been talking to some other folks who are like, your changeup is, I always talk about Devin Williams airbender being a unicorn pitch, but your changeup ends up being in that same type of area where not only is one rides, and the other, when I guess you finish it more, it tends to almost like turbocharge down. Is that what the analytics have shown you? Are you doing that on purpose? Do you sometimes not do it on purpose? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation. Like for me, I'm throwing it with the same grip. It's like a standard circle changeup, 2-seam circle changeup. And I kind of realized like early in 2019 that the speed differential I was creating was doing a lot more than movement as far as my success. So I really just focused on throwing it for a strike and being comfortable throwing it for a strike in any count. And so sometimes if like, let's say I fell behind, I'm 2-0, I'm 3-1, and I do not want to just serve a fastball to this guy that's sitting fastball, and based on scouting data, whatever it may be, or just like a gut feeling, I'm like, this guy's sitting fastball. I can just kind of like toss one in there, kind of stay behind it a little bit more instead of like trying to like get over it and pronate and finish. And it's easier to throw for a strike because it's not moving as much, but it looks more like my fastball because it's riding. And that's the one that you'll generally see kind of finish at the top of the zone or like middle of the zone.
Gotcha. I remember you threw one of the nastiest ones all season to Trout.
That was
one,
like the turbo one.
yeah, that was insane. Did that stick out in your head as like one of the nastiest ones you've thrown?
I think so. That was opening day, and I was like really, really pumped up in the first inning. And I struck out the first two guys, and I really wanted to strike out Trout to strike out the side in the first inning of the year. And it went to 3-2, and it's like, well, do we challenge him with a heater? Yaz was catching. He's like, let's go with your best secondary pitch with the changeup. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw this as hard as I can. I'm not just going to like serve that one up. I think earlier in the at bat, I kind of threw that like flatter one, and he like pulled, maybe it was a heater or something.
He hit
It's
a
like I
foul
threw
nuke.
him. He hit a foul nuke on a flat pitch.
Yeah.
So whether it was a heater or changeup, like he recognized this and he just yanked it foul. So it was like, all right, I'm not going to just like serve something up here in a 3-2 count to the best hitter in baseball. I'm just going to rip it as hard as I can. And it ended up not being close to a strike, but I think that whatever happened, I think I just like really got over the pitch, really finished it, a little bit higher velocity, but ended up getting the strikeout.
Because
I
we
was
had
inside for that pitch because I remember watching it. I think it was me, and then I think some of the starting pitchers at that point, and we're sitting inside being like, okay, Gio's won. Just he's out of his mind. He's staring at the box. He's doing all his normal stuff, and he throws that one, and we're like, he just like inside, just out laughing. He was like, if he throws that one, nobody has a chance. Not even not the best hitter in the world, but the best hitter ever. No one has a chance on that pitch.
Yeah, the key is to learn how to repeat that now.
Hold on. Maybe because, I get asked all the time why your changeup is so good, and there's some mysterious bit to it, but you don't throw it as that much, a third of the time, whatever. So I don't know how many people are going to sit there and guess on it. When they do, you use it all over the place. A lot of guys, when they use their changeup, are using in this little 2x4 area where if you guess changeup, swing your bat through that area, you're probably going to get some contact on it. You're up, you're down, you're sideways. Sometimes it's turbo.
he fell over. He's drunk. So does that like having two different changeups? Like, what do you do on heat maps? Like,
right, but well, whether I think he's saying he doesn't necessarily have two, but if you look at a scatter plot, you have it goes all over, and that. Even though he may want one or two, I mean, it's almost to his benefit to have a little feel there because it screws the batter even more. What do you do? Where do you guess? If you're going to be crazy enough to guess changeup and you're right, you still don't know the velo. He's got a little velo shift in there. He uses it all over the place, and it might break 4 inches. It might break 14 inches.
But I just wonder if it's a right side, left side thing, if it matter. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, we did look at that.
Because you have the.
I don't know if he wants to say, but we did look at that. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to.
I mean, I don't want to give away too many secrets.
A typical bat path is different for a lefty than a righty. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, it's. I'll say this. In general, it's better when it's lower. Like the goal for the most part is bottom of the zone. But I'll call like. If I'm behind in the count and I just like throw one down the middle and he swings through it, that's a happy accident.
Right. But a lot of guys won't even have the guts to throw it in the first place because they have lava red in the zone and they're dead if they miss. And you can throw it and have your happy accidents.
Yeah, like what Liam was saying, where, you know, seeing blue on the map, it's like, okay, cool, here's my room for error.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoy my changeup map a lot.
Am I wrong to look at it like, you know, everybody talks about when you're throwing a changeup, the velo difference is what gets you, to try to convince pitchers not to change their mechanics mostly. Like, hey, you know, it's just going to come out, the grip's going to do the work, it's going to come out slower, and it's going to fool the hitter. Knowing that, does it really matter if it's up or down? I mean, obviously down matters, but if you're talking about a 15-mile-an-hour difference in velo, you know, 12 to 15, hitter, if he's trying to be on time for a fastball, he's going to not be on time for the changeup, no matter where it is, right?
Yeah, it really depends on your fastball, I think. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be able to throw my changeup from like the same spot as my heater. I don't change anything. And I generally want to keep my fastball up. And so when I'm doing a good job of living up in the zone with my heater, then my changeup plays even better, because now I have that tunnel. You know, you love to do the tunneling videos.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like that exact concept.
so one thing that I've noticed, and this is just me because I do all of those, is you and Ian Anderson both, when fastball changeup, I know your maps are different, whatever, but your mechanics are the exact, like there are times where I can't tell the difference at all when I overlay the entire thing, not doing the trick where you're just pulling the ball out, but taking the mechanics all the way through. It's identical. I think I showed you one of them where I was like, it's insane. Like, I don't even think you knew you repeated your mechanics as well as it showed.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that gets me is sometimes my finish will be way different, because on my heater I'll have like a little bit more of a violent finish sometimes, and my changeup, it's like I'm trying to be really smooth. And so the finish will kind of throw me off, and that's why when you showed me what my mechanics actually look like up until release point, it was like, oh wow, I didn't realize that. It is pretty similar. Luckily, nothing nothing you do after you throw matters.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'd be telling, yeah, if the hitters were looking at what my body was doing after I threw the pitch, then they'd probably be able to guess what's coming. But luckily,
When Gio's on, he has this weird little hip thrust at the end when he's done, especially on heaters. Like, he will pop this thing. I remember seeing a photo. It was just, I think it was the no-hitter photo. Like, they printed out the poster and everything like that. And it legitimately looks like you've taken a photo, cut it in half, and then moved his body over about 4 inches, because his hip is about, it feels like it's a foot out to the side compared to the rest of him. And then you're watching him, like, I don't know how he does that to the point where he's able to stay through it. And then when he pops and comes through, it's unbelievable how good that is. It's unbelievable how much ride he has with a changeup. You don't see too many ride changeup guys.
Yeah, and it's and there's a time where it's almost like one of my favorite things is the FU changeup, where, you know, most guys have that fastball. I mean, Liam throws a ball by somebody, but the FU changeup where you spin someone into the ground, that's got to be a pretty good feeling too.
Yeah, my favorite is always blowing a heater by a guy at the top, but more so than like getting like a guy like fishing on a slider. Like, you throw a change up, even if it's like right down the middle, and he's like swings super early, and like you said, spins himself into the ground. That's a good one too.
But one of the things, so Liam had mentioned your face, like when you're locked in, you can tell. Like, you look like I mean, you look angry. You look like you're ready to fight. You look like a boxer in the corner. Liam, same thing. Like, Liam's out there, he does a little strut around the mound, waiting for the ball. He's like ready to go. But you guys like can turn it off too. More Gio than Liam. I think Liam's got a little bit of a screw loose. But like, how do you get into that mindset? Is that a key to your success? Is that being in that zone where it's almost like a boxer competing, like you're trying to emasculate whoever you're pitching against?
Yeah, I think for Liam, being a closing pitcher, it's a little different, because, I mean, Liam can talk about it. His routine is the same. Very, very, like, he has to be ready to pitch every single day. So it's like, that's what he needs to be his best, because like the inning he's pitching is so important every single time. Whereas for me, I need to try and go like 7 innings, depending on how I'm feeling or whatever's going on. Like it's hard to be like in that ultimate, like fuck you, I'm a monster type of energy the entire time. Unless you're Max Scherzer, like he's really good at that. That's something that I want to improve upon. I think for me, it's more of a focus thing than like an anger thing. And Liam can talk about my focus, but yeah, I mean, I'll let you speak now. I don't want to go over.
Yeah, so mine was like I started doing that little strut, like watching shows or watching guys like that they take that big arc around the thing. Or me, it was kind of moving to that way, and it's more of the kind of get the shoulders going a little bit, and then I had to get them to start throwing the ball harder to me from third base. So Moncada did it a couple times early, and I'm a couple games early in the year. I was annoyed at myself, so I'd catch the ball barehanded. So he stopped throwing it to me hard in case I was going to do that. Where I kept telling him, like, no, you throw it hard, I'm not going to catch it bare hand, but like, let's just bring it to me. I catch it, I kind of get in there. But yeah, my entire mindset on the mound is I want to make you embarrassed to go see your family after this at bat. I want to embarrass everybody. Like that's the whole point of it. Is I'm going out there, I'm going out to prove to this. And like everybody since I kind of came back from my banishment period it's always been like, okay, well, he was able to do it this little bit, but he definitely can't do it again. And the whole thing is, okay, you don't think I can do it again. Watch me go out, do this. Watch me dominate. Watch me continue to go out there and do this. But like, I'm able to like kind of flick it in, not so much pitch by pitch, but definitely at bat to at bat. Like there'll be times where I'll give up an absolute linear at somebody and I'll get back. I'll be talking to whoever's at short, mainly TA. I'll be yelling at TA like, man, that ball's hit hard, like doing all this stuff. And then you get back in the box, just able to kind of, it's almost like that reset button that you're able to use. But I tell you what, I've never seen someone be able to flip the switch as much as Gio. Between being in the clubhouse and having a conversation, and then you're mid sentence, and he just drifts up and walks away, and then to be on the mound where there's nothing that can break his focus from the catcher. There's nothing that can stop him from figuring out what's going to go on, what's happening in the game. It's wild.
I've seen him. So there's sometimes, Gio, where you're like bopping your head. You have a song in your head? Or are you just crazy? Or is it rattling? What is up? What is this thing that you're doing sometimes where
I don't really know. It's kind of subconscious. It's like just rhythm. You like Clevenger is like super moving around when he's pitching. It's like a little version of that, I guess, that I don't really notice. It's like I'm just kind of in a rhythm and I'm very focused. It's like, I'd love to do that every single start. I got 32 starts. I want to do that every single time. But that's, part of growing and improving as a player. I think that's one area, like having that intense level of focus and maintaining it through an entire outing and then repeating that every single time, I think is going to be huge for my improvement as a pitcher. Whereas like you see Liam and all the accolades, how well he's doing, he's become a master of that craft. And like he said, like he can come out of it, he gives up like a hard hit ball, like he'll joke around with TA, but like, boom, like right back to it, flip of a switch. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm striving for.
Well,
the mind's the biggest killer. The mind is the biggest killer. That's the thing that's always going to, like, everyone has the talent, everyone has the ability to go out there and get guys out to make good pitches and everything like that. But then as soon as you start doubting yourself, like I've had the conversation in the bullpen where just go and start singing the hitter's walkout song. I do it all the time. Like you'll see me if they ever zoom in on I'm singing the guy's walkout song on the mound, or I'm singing whatever song they're playing to rile the other team up, which generally works out well for me because I like that sort of music. So generally it's a little bit of metal, a little bit of like hair metal back in the day, but that's my kind of genre. So I'll be singing along to whatever walkout song they've got, especially in the opposition park when you're on the road. They'll play all this music and I just start bopping along to it because it gets me out of my own head. It stops me thinking about trying to make that perfect pitch or make this situation. But that's one thing that I've found. It's if you can get out of your own head and just kind of melt into the moment, everything becomes so much easier.
But not everyone can do that. Like, I think you do have a unique talent, and maybe it is that focused aggression. The one thing I noticed is sometimes even your scream, like there was a game, I think it was against the Tigers, where you yelled at the last pitch, and I don't think the umpire was going to ring. I forgot who was hitting.
Oh, it was about a foot inside.
I remember which one that was.
I was already annoyed at that game because we had a bench clearing.
You willed it into existence.
We had a bench clearing in the 8th inning, and Detroit's a long way to run in. So I was already warming up at that point. So I'm warming up. I jump onto the bench in the bullpen, jump the fence, don't go through the door, jump the fence straight over, and I'm running in, booking it in. I get in completely out of breath because I am completely out of shape.
That's the farthest farthest distance to run in all of baseball for a reliever.
Yeah, it's such a long way. And they don't give you any extra time, by the way. They don't give you like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's 2 minutes and 5 seconds every time, no matter where you are. It sucks. But I'm running all the way, walk all the way back out, and I'm taking my time. I think I almost had a delay a game kind of thing against me because I was walking so slow to get out there. And then it was just one of those things. It was a big situation. It was tense. We had a little bit of a thing going back and forth through the teams. And at that point, I'm like, I want to get out of there. I needed that pitch. And that was one of those ones where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. I think I gave up a single. It's a 2-run game. I gave up a single earlier in the inning. So I was like, that was a big pitch for the situation. And I screamed, and I've screamed on balls before. And it's not as if it's abnormal, but I think I screamed, and then Yaz stuck it really, really well. Or I can't remember if it was Yaz or Sebi. I think whoever was back there stuck it really, really well. And then all of a sudden, he starts ringing up. I'm looking at him like, that wasn't even close. You take what you can take, because there's been pitches that I've thrown that have been given the other way, and all of a sudden it's all's fair in love and war.
You started walking off. You yelled, and then yelled again once he actually called it, because I was like, that pitch is not close. But I know you convinced him to ring him up. That doesn't show up on the map.
I throw it, and if he doesn't call it, I do my little, I'll spin around to get the ball back, and then I'll pat my chest like, hey, my bad. I thought it was close. My bad. I'm not meaning to show you up. And then that kind of gives you a little bit off the edge every now and then too.
I should scream more after I throw borderline pitches. Michael, were you the one that told me that I was in the top percentile of throwing strikes that were called balls in the last season?
Yeah, you were for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Start screaming.
That's not where I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do need to start screaming. It doesn't there's something about Liam's insane though. So you don't know what's going to come out of the dude's mouth and stuff. I talked to Alec Manoa. He's like, oh yeah, Liam Hendriks, he's a psychopath. And I don't even know that y'all have met.
No, I met him in the parking lot actually, because I was like, yeah, I found out he called me a psychopath. I wanted to meet the guy. He's talking to guys over there. They love him. They absolutely love him on that side. The team, everybody is he's awesome. But that's always good. He has a little bit of that in him. It pops out every now and then, but he does more of it scream, smiling kind of thing up and down. And I think you get a little bit of rage. Plus, it's you play for Toronto. It's a hockey city. Scream, they'll love you.
That's a good point. We need to tell him that, because he is he's kind of a big goofy guy that's got a lot of energy. But I love watching his stuff too. He's a ton of fun. Who on the team is the biggest goofball?
Yeah, we got some very clumsy individuals.
I think Liam's the biggest goofball, man.
I think I have the biggest extremes. I go from ragey to sitting down quietly, playing with Lego. Playing with Legos every day it gets you into the goofball category for sure.
Wait, in the bullpen?
No, in the dugout. Me and Lucas, Liam, we're in Kansas City, and I go to the bookstore. I get this 3D puzzle. I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna sit down, do this little red plastic dragon. Get there, I'm opening it up. I'm looking for the instructions. There's no instructions. It's an actual puzzle. So it's a 3D puzzle that we have. I think we sit in there for about 4 or 5 hours. We missed BP. We stretched, and we came inside, and we completely missed batting practice trying to get this dragon fixed. Yeah. And we finally got it. It came out really, really close. This dragon holding like a ball like this in its hand. It was really, really cool. And it took us forever, to the point where I ended up, it stayed together pretty well. I put it in your little go bag that you take out with you. But once you get him locked in on a task, it's very hard to get him off it.
Yeah, I hyper focused on that big time. I tried to do the Legos, for a little bit. Like Liam was kind of like feeding me like, here, you can do this one, you can do this one. And then as the season went on, I was like, I don't have enough time to do all the actual things I need to do for my job right now.
You would if you just like time management was a little bit better.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that next year. Just wait.
You're gonna have so much free time. It's gonna be weird.
So Fisher, how different is it to work with these guys, and what do you do in your given week?
You think they're different?
I think they're different. Yes, I will say that a closer and a starter, totally different stuff.
Luckily, right.
Luckily,
I've
learning
learned
pattern too.
Right. Luckily, I've learned every guy's so different that I'm coming in when I first meet. I've known these guys for a while, but I right up front learn how each guy talks, how he thinks, learn if they have any tics, words that they don't want to hear. Some guys, if you talk about release point stuff, they foam at the mouth and don't get in my head and all that stuff. Make sure there's nothing like that. These guys don't have that. But learn how each guy talks and thinks. And these guys they do stand out amongst a lot of the guys I work with I can tell they've really learned how to take a bad or an unwanted outcome and deal with it. That whether some guys are like, they have that seed of doubt, like Liam was talking about earlier in your head. Those little demons can talk and say, hey, did you plan right? Or did I execute that right or whatever? And these guys are really good at recognizing, I just rolled some bad dice. I've prepared well. I executed that pitch well. These are professionals up there. At some points, some things are going to happen. I'm not going to get away from attacking in a way that I know works against that guy. And that's why they've continue to have good success and move forward instead of getting away from pitches that they could use to attack with.
I think that is a great point, because I think most people, when they compete, they assume that if a bad outcome happens, they want to move away from it, where it's a long season
Right.
and you have so many data points that odds are there's going to be a bad outcome in there. And the key is doing the right thing over and over again, that your
Right.
odds are going to be in your favor, right?
Right. Yeah. I think we both talked this off season, both these guys, with looking at their off season result or their 2021 results and talking about a couple of the things that weren't so hot. And with some guys, you have to explain, well, hey, that wasn't so bad. These guys knew right away, like, yeah, come on. It's Salvador Perez. Where do you want me to throw it? Yeah, I could have thrown a little bit higher, Liam. It's like, I threw it 100 miles an hour at the top of the zone. Okay.
Still remember the pitch. It was 98, top of the zone,
Right.
good ride, good everything, and he hit it, I think, into the second waterfall. Like, it wasn't as if he just got it either. He launched that one. I mean, I think, but he had the hardest hit ball off me this season as well. It was 113.8. It's the hardest ball ever given up, and that was this year as well. That was a double earlier in the year.
All right, stop throwing the high fastball to Perez, right?
No, just stop throwing him fastballs. The first one was inside.
Well, maybe.
But he was also, that series, he was unbelievable. The one that hit the homer off me, because he hit a Dylan Cease slider to dead center on first pitch slider. He hit 101 off Kopech for a homer. It was just like he was in that sort of zone. Like, at that point, it's very, very hard to pitch against those guys because he was just on it. And it's really hard to hate him because he is the nicest guy in the world. He is awesome,
Right.
Always smiling, always has a great time. I played with him in 14, and it is just a blast to be around. So it makes it really, really hard to kind of try and nitpick anything to try and be like, okay, no, I hate you because of this. This is how I'm going to get you out. Where
Right.
everybody else is like, nah, your face makes me want to hit you. I'm just going to throw that. I'm going to beat you now.
So you throw harder based on the hitter's face. Is that what I'm hearing?
Not necessarily face, but like there was look. So we're in Cincinnati, and I'm walking out of the bullpen. I was talking to their right fielder, who had a really good year, left-handed hitter.
Winker?
Yes, I was talking to Winker. Not Winker. Is it Winker? Either way, I was talking to them, and the center fielder, I was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he just like, I don't know if he didn't hear me or ghost faced me. I pitched against him the next, the end of the season, and I was like, okay, well, this guy didn't say hello to me, so I'm just going to try and embarrass him right now. And it's just nitpicking any little thing about like, okay, well, you're stupid because you're wearing number 0, or something you did earlier in the year, something you've done in the past that I didn't like or didn't appreciate. That's my entire mindset is, okay, because of this, I'm going to destroy you.
I think Michael Jordan did something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did watch The Last Dance. There were certain things in there where I was sitting there like, okay, well, that's something that I've done in the past where I can look at it, but not really ever focusing, like hyper-focused on that. And that was one thing that I really took into this year. And I think it definitely helped a lot, was just running through those.
I thought you were going to kill Josh Donaldson, by the way.
I don't want to. Like
I saw that look and I was like, holy crap, this dude wants to kill him.
We have a good rivalry going.
Well, he's the same way. Like he's purposefully that way.
Without a doubt, we have a good rivalry. He's the guy that struck out the most in the big leagues. I've played with him, played against him. I've known him and around for a while. And it's just one of those things where I was actually disappointed I didn't strike him out at all last year. That was something that I really need to work on. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like that was one of the ones where that's the at bat I'm winning. I'm going to win this at bat. I'm going to win this role. And that particular at bat was, I think, straight after the whole he's a pest comment, and I was running with that. I was running the entire thing with that. I've been like, no, you don't get to do that to my team. You don't get to do that to us. I'm going to make sure that you never think about doing anything like that again.
So you mentioned Cease and Kopech, and they're two of the filthiest guys that Kopech won the most unfair at bat in my Pitching Ninja awards this year, and it was insane.
At the Nebraska game,
yeah, the Field of Dreams game. That was insane. And Nebraska, Iowa, they're all the same.
Oh my God,
corn!
You know what?
You had corn on your head.
My wife and I just started watching that show Yellowstone.
That's not Nebraska either.
I was like, Ari, I met him this year. And she's like, when? What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, and that baseball game we played.
But like those guys, are they standouts to you when you watch them pitch, like how filthy they are?
Oh my God, yeah.
It's effortless. It's unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
you see what like guys like Lucas or Lance or anything like that put into it. And don't get me wrong, they're not as if they're not working hard, but how just disgusting their stuff is without having to ever like worry about the manipulation of the ball or making it move a little bit more or tweaking this, tweaking that. It's just straight talent, and it's unbelievable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I'm a big guy, and like I spend a lot of time in the off season trying to like bulk up and get nice and strong. And then, I go to spring training and there's Dylan, and he's like, he's tall. He's like 6'2", 6'3", but he's like skinny and just like easy 98 every single outing. It's like, what the hell, man? It's unbelievable.
And there are times his slider is off the charts. Like I'm watching it move, and it's almost like cartoon stuff.
Curveball and slider.
Yeah. Actually, both. You're right.
It's a wiffle ball. I have no idea how he spins it that much. I've been trying to actively try and figure out how to like not change my curveball, but like the spin rate on mine is abnormally low. And you watch him, and he's throwing out there 3,000 RPMs, and I'm like just snapping it off like get me overs. And I'm like, how are you doing this? How is this possible? I mean, don't get me wrong, spin rate's not everything, all this sort of stuff, but the fact that the way he's able to kind of go out there, his biggest thing is always going to be, hey, throw strikes with everything, because nothing you throw can get hit.
Yep.
That was the first thing we talked about when he started working with Codify was, we looked at his maps, and he's like, these are really blue. You showed me some of Giolito's, and it's like, watch yourself pitch. Watch yourself pitch. I mean, your stuff is so nasty. And he kind of had a nibble mentality before. I'm like, dude, it's hard to catch your pitches. Okay. You're doing a lot. He walked so many guys the year before, short season, but in 2020, and you see how much he chopped that walk rate down.
Do you find
if you look at his ERA, you might not think he had that too much better of a year, but don't look at just the ERA. Look at the K rate, look at the walk rate, look at what guys were doing when they hit it. It was a totally different season.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better, and the ERA is going to go lower.
Yeah.
I predict great things for Dylan in the future for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, watching them just, I watch everybody. So, watching that, I just wonder if sometimes, and you guys would know, like, do you give hitters too much respect?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The best hitter in the world is going to hit 330. And that means they get out 7 out of 10 times. And not all of those 7 are good pitches. They get.
You said you weren't good at math, by the way. That was pretty.
Yeah, not against you. They're not going to hit 330.
No, it's like anything under 10, anything single digit, I'm good. So 3, 7, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that those guys have, we give them way too much credit. At the end of the day, they're going to get themselves out. You could throw a middle fastball 10 times in a row. And you know what? They may get 4 hits. And that's still us winning 6 times. And that's an average that hasn't been done in however long. So this isn't, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to make sure that you throw a perfect pitch every time. And that's the one thing that I think especially with the younger kids I talk to, it's don't worry about the corners or don't split the plate into quarters or whatever it is. Half, inside half, outside half. That's all that matters, because you get it over the plate, they're going to get themselves out.
Yeah, you want to put yourself in a position of advantage. You're already in a position of advantage being the pitcher rather than the batter. And then a huge thing, you throw strike 1, you throw strike 2, you're ahead in the count consistently. I mean, that's part of the reason why Liam's so successful. He doesn't walk anybody. He's constantly pitching ahead with really, really good stuff. So, I mean, that's the key to success.
It sounds so easy, and it can't be, because if you look at the outlier year, the outlier stats, like other people have said this, Liam just did it. Like 16-1 is unheard of, even for Greg Maddux. So like that's, yeah, I mean, have you always had that type of, like, you've had that command forever? Even like,
so
where
I
does
mean,
it come from?
back when I was in the minor leagues, I was starting. I had 108 innings with 12 walks in the minor leagues, and then as I kind of moved up the system, I let every new level kind of affect me differently, and I wasn't in the same mindset as I was, because I remember this 2010 in high A, and it was 2010. I was in low A, high A. I had 108 innings, 12 walks, I think 100 strikeouts or close to right around there, and it was one of those ones where I'm like, look, I'm going out there. I'm a control guy. So why would I try and put guys on? This is when I still had a good changeup. I was kind of hitting my spots in the zone, but why am I putting guys on? And every time I would walk a guy, he'd score. It wasn't as if it was just like an abnormal thing. So that was one of the things that really ingrained in me this year. And I think of the 7 walks I had, I mean, 8 if you include the playoffs. Number 8 walk, he scored. The first walk was Trout. He scored. One of the other walks to Judge was a walk-off walk. There was a 1 to Kepler, which was an at-bat that I had him chance. I think they ended up scoring, not off. No, he didn't score, but someone else scored that later that game. There was another one to Mitch Garver, which I think was just put me into a tougher situation. So there's walks around there that I am just mad at because of the fact I'm putting guys on, and it puts me in a tough situation to get guys out.
Do you realize how screwed up it is that you could actually name the people that you walk?
Yeah,
it's easier when there's so little of them.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like,
there's not that many.
I mean, I have like
that
60.
I was going through that in the homers the other day, and I was like rattling off all the home runs that I gave up and the pitches that I threw and all this sort of stuff. It's always good to remember that, because at the end of the day, you don't ever test your limits until you fail at something. You never really reach back for that little extra bit unless you've learned what failure tastes like, what all this sort of stuff. It's like it builds character. So you going out there struggling through certain things, that builds character to the point where next time it happens, you're never going to let it affect you the same way.
So, Liam, I awarded Lance Lynn the Foulest Mouth Award.
I did see that.
Yeah,
I agree.
See,
You're
like
closer.
now, like, what are you going to do to reclaim that award? Because I do think there was a lot of people that were frowning at my choices in my following group. Like the folks that follow me were like, "You sure about that?" But I want to bring the best out of you. So
I think I had the most.
You definitely.
I have a lot of thoughts.
His was more creative. Like he had more creative ones. He had
quality,
like
over
mixed
quantity.
with a belt toss, mixed with all that sort of stuff. Like I think his was more creative. He had a little bit more ideas, where mine was just the generic 3 or 4, just on rotate. So good stuff though. Good stuff.
Yeah, trying to take you to the next level. You mentioned about failing. Like this should be a challenge to you. You've got to kind of up the game a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody remembers who came second. So it's like, I got to work on that. I think mine was a little rubbed off on the bullpen, because you saw towards the end of the year, the rest of our entire bullpen started getting a little bit more angry, a little more aggressive. Like I still remember Crochet ended up punching out the side, looking up at the thing and just fist bumping both things because he'd won the little award that we had for punching out the side. Kopech was getting a little more yelly towards the end. This is something that I think we really work on as a bullpen because we realize that we thrive upon those situations.
So I think that that's part of the playing personality of the team. And that's one reason why I expect you guys to be really good is, to me, the best teams have that. It's a playing personality, a little chip on your shoulder, a little bit of, I don't know if it's cockiness, whatever. Does that help? I mean, does watching, like if you're watching Gio, if you're watching out there, watching them scream and yell, does that get you fired up? Does watching Lance doing his little turnaround nut grab or whatever he's doing, does that fire everybody up?
Always. Yeah, I think it's like the coolest thing ever. Whenever a guy, whether it be another starter, especially Lance, because he's like, his theatrics are like the greatest ever, or a reliever because they're always going for the gauntlet, that's the strikeout the side award that they had. It's like as soon as he strikes out two guys in the inning, I'm on the edge of my seat because it's like if he gets that third one, like I cannot wait to see what's coming.
Bummer's got that sitting on his mantle in Nebraska. Funnily enough, he's got that sitting on his mantle out there right now. He disappointed we couldn't take that one back from him, but we need some ideas for next year. So we got to work on something.
By the way, Bummer's another one who's just disgusting.
Oh, unbelievable! Like the talent that we have as a pitching
he's the last person on earth you want to play
joke.
catch with.
Oh, yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst playing catch with him because unless you don't like your thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
And you played with Trinan back in you've had some insane dudes that like those are the guys that I watch and I don't understand how baseballs move that way. I mean, Blake did that over and over again this year, where that new slider thing, and I want to touch on your new slider, Gio, or improved slider. I don't know if it's new. It looked improved through the season.
Much improved in the second half.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me finish. Let me not finish that story, but I want to talk about the slider and why it is much improved.
In the first half of the season, I was throwing my slider like this. And then in the second half of the season, I was like, well, that's not how you throw a slider. You throw a slider like that. That's like the bare bones basics of it. I'm very much like with the four seam fastball, trying to ride it, and the changeup, like trying to stay behind it and like throw it. I'm more of a like pronation type pitcher. There's guys have different ways of throwing. Like I talk with Glasnow here and there, and he talks about how he had like a surgery on his hand when he was a kid. And so it makes it so it's hard for him to go this way. And that's why like you'll see his fastball cut and stuff a little bit because he's more on this side of the ball. Which is why, he has a really good curveball, and then he mixed in the slider as well. For me, it's harder to get the ball to go this way. So in the first half of the season, whatever it was, just a little funkiness in my arm action, or just not being focused enough on getting over the baseball and getting it to go this way. It wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. It was very inconsistent. It was flat. And then we got to work. I started throwing curveballs to learn how to get over the ball. And then I would be like, throw a curveball, throw a slider, throw a curveball, throw a slider, like when I would play catch and throw bullpens and stuff. And it just like re-taught me how to get over the ball. And then the slider became, I'm sure Michael can talk about it, like it became a huge pitch for me in the second half.
I mean, watching it stood out. And I was going to say, like, how does that change? Like, Mike, when you're talking about a slider that wasn't good, when do you know it's good? Like, when do you change the maps? How do you go about helping a pitcher plan when all of a sudden their arsenal's different?
Well, Right. A lot of the maps are driven by how it looks when he throws it in games. And he, when it wasn't going the way he wanted to, the mix would change and he wouldn't throw it as much. So it wouldn't influence the maps. The crazy geo stat I had on that was no other pitcher struck out or got swinging strikes with 3 different pitches, racked up 90 or more. But Gio had 133 with his slider and more with his fastball and changeup. And there's no one in baseball getting whiffs with 3 different pitches like that. I know there were games. I mean, there was one game, no sliders, right? Is that this year or last year? I have to look.
19 and 20, I probably had a handful of games where
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of 20. I'm thinking
in
of 20.
In 21, I probably at least tried to throw it. It just wasn't very good in a lot of those first half games. And then in the second half, there were games where I was throwing significantly more sliders and changeups, just because a lot of these scouting reports hitters get, it's like, all right, we're facing Giolito, the fastball changeup guy. It's like, no, I'm going to come out with something else. And it worked out a lot of the time.
Right. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
But
what are they
you
going
have
to do?
to stay on top of that too. I mean, I guess it's a consultative process where somebody may say, "Hey, this pitch is locked in now. I want you to scrap all the map." I mean, do you ask how do you develop those maps when somebody's changing everything like that? Like, or are there various ways?
Well, actually, the slider maps, I laugh because I'm looking at the Pirates maps from Lucas's no hitter that's up on my wall here. So I'm just kind of chuckling because all those maps are super blue coming in, but it doesn't predetermine the mix. If he, that's the cool thing, the human element of this is you can walk in one day and go, I mean, hell, especially if it's someone like Stroman or McCullers or someone that has, however many pitches you want to pretend he has, and go, I just don't have 3 of these pitches today and still have the other ones. If Lucas didn't, I think more of Lucas with the curveball. Do I have the curve today? Am I going to show 5 curveballs today or not? And he might not. Just, that's a game time thing. But at least he knows what to do and how much zone he can get when he does it. But most of the time it's those 3. And I loved it in the second half when the slider was in play so much. It was unfair.
I remember going. So sometimes I go to games and I'm watching and I'm like, I want to do a changeup fastball overlay for Lucas, and he did it. I remember those games where it was all just where the slider was filthy. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Like, these things look, they were unhittable and nobody was touching them.
Low spin rate too.
Yeah, I know. That was the other thing. They were low spin rates.
Liam was talking about low spin rate breaking balls earlier.
Right.
Right. Too much stock in the breaking ball spin rate. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, nothing matters unless they swing and miss. If they swing and miss at it consistently, that's all that matters. It could be the worst pitch in the world analytically, but if it works, it works.
People told Amir Garrett that his slider wasn't any good, and that was his pitch.
More so than like spin rate or any of those metrics, I think the most important thing is it coming out, like the tunneling aspect. I think that is the like end all be all. Is it coming out and then doing other things? That's the biggest.
Is that what hitters tell you too?
For the most part. Oh, that you threw me this and it looked like this. And so I was swinging at it like it was this pitch, but it ended up being this pitch.
So we mentioned Lance. What was the funniest thing that he's done in the clubhouse? Is there anything that you sit there and go, that guy's got to freaking screw loose?
He'd answer the phone mid-start. His locker was right next to the clubhouse telephone, so he'd answer it, and depending on how the inning, if it was a good inning the inning before, he'd answer it, be like, "Hello, this is Lance," and then or the next time it would be, "Stop calling," and just like hang up and just continue to hang up on it. But yeah, he's a character, man. He's awesome. Like his locker was set up at the very end, so it would look through the entire clubhouse. And he's just sitting in his chair, just popping off and making fun of Dallas and Lucas and Cease and the starting guys. And he's definitely an experience. And that was we were close in our lockers, and that was a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, Lance is the best. I think Liam has a better memory than I do for like specific instances. Yeah, I love when Lance is pitching, the uniform changes. It's like damn near every inning. And yeah, sometimes like I remember the clubhouse phone rings, he's answering it. He would do some interesting things in between innings. But then kind of what we were talking about before, it's like go back out there and just lock it in. And next thing you know, he's doing his twirl and this and all that. Yep.
He's one of a kind. I didn't know what to expect coming out there. I'd heard of him, played against him for a number of years, and some of his mindsets were hilarious. It's like, oh yeah, I don't throw this that much. So the first, like with the A's, it was like, okay, well he doesn't throw breaking balls that often. So the first inning he threw like 5 curveballs, and completely baffled our hitters. And then for the next 6 innings, didn't throw a single one other, and guys were just sitting on it the entire time. He threw 7 scoreless against the A's. I think it was in, I don't know if that was 20 or 19, but either way, like it was just he's really good at the mind games against hitters, and that's something that's it's really fun to being able to kind of watch and experience.
Yeah, he is the perfect combination of like knowing what's going to screw a hitter up mentally based on what he's throwing, as well as feel for the baseball to then execute it. Like he's like, yeah, I mean, this guy, I could see that he was trying to like get to this pitch, and the way he'll describe it too is like, yeah, he was trying to get to this, so I just like gave him one of these a little bit over here. And it's like, well, how do you do that? Like if I throw a sinker, it just goes straight, and then if I try to manipulate it, I throw it 45 feet, and I don't know what the hell is going on. But it's like he can like just like give and take and make it do this, make it do that. It's crazy. The feel
you
for
want to talk about a
the
guy
feel
who
for
can
the
manipulate
heater.
the ball.
Yeah.
It's like sinker, cutter, four seam, and then it'll be like a super sinker, or it'll be those like the splitty or the changeup or the bigger cutter. It was just there's not too many guys that can go straight, sink, cut, and then manipulate all 3 of them even further. And that's something that was really, really cool to watch.
I did an overlay with 3 of his fastballs, and that like they're fastballs, but his cutter is kind of a slider. His sinker is insane when it's got to go. Like that turbo sinker he can throw is that's filthy. And then the riding fastball, but it was like 3 fastballs that ended up making a triangle. I mean, a legit big triangle. It's kind of crazy stuff.
Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Who's the toughest hitter for you guys, and who's the toughest hitter to game plan against, Fish?
I think it depends on who's hot.
Yeah, I mean, you guys say, but they didn't ask specifically really, but other guys would ask about Perez when he got white hot, and Ohtani always comes up. Just those little streaks he would go on, and people would kind of psych themselves out. So, but it was back to, like Liam said, like stop giving the hitter so much credit. And they've already established that they have ways to get him out. Are you going to get him out, or are you going to worry about these other things that happen? Easier said than done, obviously.
Do you guys have man crushes on Ohtani too, or is that like
Yeah, I had a nice conversation with him at anime.
What was that conversation, Lou?
Oh, we were talking about anime in the at the All Star game.
Oh,
it was just sitting there talking about like Dragon Ball Z and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, he's, as I said, like I've said it multiple times, but he is one of the best human beings around. Like it could have been quite easily to come over not only the hype that he had in Japan, but the hype he was getting over here, and just turn into like a terrible human being. But he is not only one of the nicest guys. I heard he's great in the clubhouse in Anaheim, and he always says hello. We've always said hello, like in the outfield. Like I'll be playing catch, he'll be doing his running and stuff like that. And it's something that he always takes the time, and that was something that's really, really cool for a guy of that caliber talent to be able to kind of still just want to have a conversation and not ever feel like he was rushing to get out of there.
Yeah, that's the GQ piece was great. I actually ended up going out. I swear this is so stupid. I bought a weighted eye mask because he said that was one of the things he couldn't travel without.
Oh, you watched the YouTube video?
Yeah, and dude, I'm telling you, it actually works. Like maybe it's in my head. It doesn't make me a better baseball player or a better tweeter or whatever.
I want to get the custom Japanese pillow he has.
Oh yeah, they measured his head and stuff.
Yeah, I need to. That's one thing I want to get better next year is like better stuff for my sleep for sure. That custom made pillow for your head is unreal.
That was interesting. I need to check that out now.
You have to watch. It's like the 10 things Shohei Ohtani can't live without, or something.
Yeah, I
It's
did
like
see
a
that. I
series
skipped it, but I didn't see
Q
it.
does.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you guys can't live without? I'll start with Mike in the corner. Like, what couldn't you live without?
Baseball, right?
Oh, well, that's a pretty big
Wow.
thing. Yeah.
Come on.
Kind of deep. So like traveling though, like if you're traveling, guys, what would you?
Oh. Yeah, ask the travelers first. Ask
Yeah.
somebody that's left
Yeah,
their
yeah,
house
right,
in the last
exactly.
2 years.
For me, it's a book. Like I take my Kindle everywhere, and
Mhm.
that's probably the one thing that I can't. Just because
I didn't see you on a Kindle this year or last year. You're hardcover.
No, I'd fluctuate between books, but then whoever, like Goodwin was sitting in front of me and he'd stand up playing cards and then he'd get stuck in the light. So then I'd whip the Kindle out every now and then. But generally during the year, I'm trying to I'll flip between hardcover or paperbacks or anything like that to go to the Kindle. But this year it's just been easy to I'm at the house, I'll finish a book immediately. I may as well just start another one and go straight to the Kindle. But I've still got a bunch of books running around here or everywhere. I mean, yeah, it's always good, nice when you find your own author, but then you don't have to carry around 7 books, which is always good.
For me, it is, man. Last year it was the PlayStation 5. You know what I would love is if they put MLB The Show, the video game, made it available on PC, so then I wouldn't have to lug a whole setup. Liam knows what I'm talking about, that case, the Pelican case I carry around with the PlayStation in it. Because right now, I mean, I'm going to get
like
into
a
my
heavy
super
duty
video game nerd talk. I do the MLB The Show stuff for scouting with the maps. It's my whole process and it works for me. I know it's very weird, but I do with MLB The Show. It's the best baseball simulator video game out there. I wish it could be on a PC because I have a very nice gaming laptop, which is nice and small and can fit in my backpack, and then I wouldn't have to carry this PlayStation 5 around with me everywhere. But yeah.
Watching him struggle with this case was hilarious. Oh yeah. Like it came in probably June-ish, I think.
Yeah, I was
May or
literally,
June-ish.
I was for the first 2 months of the season, I was carrying the PlayStation 5 around in like the
The
cardboard
PlayStation
case.
5 box.
Yeah, the box it came in, and it was getting beat to shit. Like it was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm gonna break this thing.
It ended
And
up
I'm
being good
really
though, because
screwed.
you kind of, it fit in right behind the seat, so you're able to kind of almost lay on top of it a little bit. So it almost it was
Yeah,
good
it
for you,
became
but
like it became like where your feet go in an airplane seat. I would put it there, and then I could lay down on my seat, lay some like blankets and pillows over it, and now I have like, for my wide frame, instead of like being stuck trying to sit on like trying to lay down on airplane seats, I'd be able to have more space.
it worked out well because he was right behind me on the plane. So I didn't lean back too often. So it was good for him. Every now and then I let back a tiny little bit just because if I was eating or getting the tray table out there so I could put my book on it and sit there with my coffee the entire flight.
I'm going to tweet this part out and tag MLB The Show, and let's see if we can look you up.
Oh, I have a great relationship with those guys. San Diego Studios. I mean, they're great. They make a wonderful product. It's Sony exclusive.
Yeah,
so
they need a Ninja
PlayStation
feature
only.
to it.
Like it's on Xbox this year, isn't it?
No,
you got to be able to just go to Xbox.
You got to be able to download Codify maps, right?
That would be kind of cool.
Into the game.
Oh, that would be interesting.
They have they have a heat map system in there,
right?
But I don't think that it's. I mean, at least what I see is not very accurate. It doesn't sync up with my Codify maps, that's for sure.
Right.
Well, I have to have words with them because they made me about 270 pounds. I am chunky on this show.
I look like a linebacker in that game. I have like the biggest arms of all time.
It's
Pumps
terrible.
Oh, well, hit on it. So you called Lucas a sloth, right?
Oh boy, here we go.
Sloth.
Yeah, I think he
when
said
I did the zoo trip in Australia. They had a wallaby.
I remember that.
Chicago.
Yeah, the Chicago
That's what I was
Zoo.
with.
So what would
he was a
Liam
sloth.
be? Like, I know he says you said you were a shark or something like that, or
No.
what would he be? You got to get him
Shit,
back. He
Cap.
just called you a sloth, dude.
He's working on it.
hmm.
Googling
What would
most
Liam
annoying
be?
animals. Gnat,
I don't know,
mosquito.
man. I'm trying to think of like an Australian animal. It's hard not to just land on kangaroo.
I can't be a Tasmanian devil because that's Yaz. I was the Tasmanian
Yeah,
devil. We
that's
can't do that
yep.
one. I was taken.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can
Like
come back to it because we're going to have Liam describe his knuckleball right now.
Oh, geez.
And before we do this, after throwing the knuckleball, we talked about it before the All Star game. So and you'll like this because I was talking to Tyler Matzik yesterday, and this will hopefully play after this. But I convinced him, he uses Metallica as his walkout song. And I said, have you ever thought about an AC/DC song? And he's like, what? And I started playing Big Balls for him. And I think that would be like, he has to do that, right? A guy, his nickname's Nutsack. You've got to go with Big Balls at least once.
Yeah,
It's once.
Yeah, that or flaming balls of fire.
Yeah, like something, right? You got to play on that.
Yeah, you gotta throw that out there. But yeah,
I figured the Australian
I come out to
thing
Queen. I did come out to AC/DC, and then when I left Toronto, it just did not have the same feel in Oakland, and I ended up changing from that because I had Back in Black for a while, and then it would have fitted with the White Sox. But I've been coming out to the last 3 years of Queen mixed with Rage Against the Machine, mixed with Skrillex and Prodigy.
I've been trying to get Tom Morello to do the guitar part in my Pitching Ninja song. Yeah, that be sick?
That would be really cool. He's on the radio all the time. I listen to Octane every day, so he's on that every now and then with Lithium and all that sort of stuff. But that'd be a good one to have for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go over to knuckleball grip. And Gio, you got to keep working through animals. I know you can search while we're talking about this knuckleball. Come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you've always dabbled with something in like playing catch, and for me it was always a knuckleball.
Ignore that.
So for me it was always a knuckleball, and it was just one of those things where you mess around with it. Coming up through Australia, you're not allowed to throw a breaking ball until you're 15.
It's like a law.
That it goes down as a balk, it goes down as a no pitch. You're not allowed, and you keep doing it, you just get ejected. So you're not allowed to throw them. It's a way to protect kids' arms. So you look at quackers. It's a wombat. But no, so
the semblance is uncanny.
Oh, dude, I can see it. The beady eyes, the
wombat.
Oh,
wombats poop square.
I know you poop square too.
oh gosh, 2 in a row.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the knuckleball before I got really
does look like him.
It does look
a little bit. You should Google.
I'm sorry, I was trying to stay out of it.
You should look at a quokka. Look at a quokka.
I saw the quokka when I Googled Australian animals.
Yeah.
It looks kind of similar to a wombat.
It's similar, but it smiles a lot more, which I feel like is more
it
maybe.
Square?
Yeah.
Like who poops square? Like what is it? How does that happen?
No idea. Like legitimately, you can Google it and it's just wombats and it's the whole thing.
I have a theory.
I have a theory too, and I'm not exactly excited about my theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
knuckleball.
It'd be interesting to see.
Knuckleball.
Yeah,
Right.
Knuckleball.
So we would throw it back in the day.
Cut it off.
But that face just over it looks like it's gonna bite your head.
That's a quokka.
But yeah,
right,
so the knuckles.
enough of
I've always been a 2-finger guy. Like it's always been 2 fingers. It's never been the 4 or anything like that. It was something like that. And then playing with Dickie in 2015, you kind of watching him do his thing.
You can't say playing with Dickie on the show.
2-finger.
It's a euphemism for just.
But he was wild in the fact that he's the same way that I am with my slider. Like if he's not feeling great, he'll seam it, and if he's feeling really good, he just goes straight into the middle of the ball. So like he'll be over here. Whereas for me, I like same with my slider. Like if I'm not doing well with my slider, it's here. If I'm feeling okay with it, it's there, and if I'm feeling really good with it, it's there. It's just the way that I can do it. But his is the same with the knuckleball. It's like that. And then if he's feeling good with it, he will just go up here and he's trying to make you read. He'd always go this way. So he'd do it like I remember him saying, I'm pretty sure it was him, but he said, he's like, I'm trying to make them read the baseball upside down.
Okay.
So it's like, he'll do that. And then, but I mean, his story is wild. Like, he drafted in the first round, throwing mid to upper 90s, and then comes back as a knuckleballer, and then gives up a ton of homers with Texas, and then comes to the Twins, and then ends up being a Cy Young with the Mets. And it's a wild story, but he was awesome to play with. I enjoyed him a lot when I was with the Jays.
He's a smart dude too, right? I mean, like he's another
Extremely
reader.
He was actually, he was at the ABCA convention in Chicago. He was there when the day before. I didn't get a chance to see him because we both spoke for Rapsodo. He was there going through it. And, they were saying he was loving it. He was great.
What was he doing speaking for Rapsodo? Because like it measures spin rate, and he doesn't.
I mean, it still measures the lack of spin rate, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But like, what's the difference between 30 and 60? And I don't know. I guess there is. But like, he can count them. He doesn't need a machine to count them.
Well, Fish, what was mine in the All-Star game? It came up with something and then reverberated to like 3,700 or something like that.
Right. But it was 4 something, right?
Low. It was low. It was
high
low.
threes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what a
and
good
the
one
fastest,
is. Like, obviously,
and the fastest ever, right?
Yeah. Like,
no, it's the fastest knuckleball of all in competitive history.
Like at 87?
Yeah, no, literally,
84.
we can't find a fast
something
one.
or other.
In the big leagues.
Imagine if you threw one of those during the regular season, Ethan would have had a heart attack.
I kind of want to try that now, just for him.
Yeah,
I threw one the other day. I threw a bullpen the other day, and I finished off with a couple of them. And the first couple just straight. They're just so hard to control. You can't throw a strike with them. And as we've spoken earlier, like, I'm all about making sure I can throw things for strikes or on the grass, one of the two.
Yeah, I want to see one. That would see. I knew when you threw it though. I saw you. I was like, that doesn't look like any pitch I've ever seen you throw. And I knew that. I mean, I tweeted it out there that it was coming, and I was like, that had to be it. And I saw you looked back or something, maybe at the velo.
I looked back and smiled because it was in the box, but I told Zanino that I want to throw one. He just looked at me kind of like, what? Like, what are we doing here? And then he was like, okay, do you want to throw it first pitch? I'm like, no, let's not go first pitch. I want to see where the performance rate has got me at right now. And then you go from there.
So what did you think, Gio, when you were listening to Liam during the All-Star game?
I thought it was a bad idea to put a mic on him.
I warned him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. He tried to warn him. I mean, it is what it is. He said, I don't know. I don't know if I watched all the All-Star game. I don't think I did. But I did see all the highlights of Liam swearing.
That was the highlight, I think.
Yeah.
I warned them. They came up to me and asked me, and I was like, okay, look, are you sure this is a good idea? I can tell you what right now is going to happen. But just as a heads up, like, look, make sure to clear with everybody. Make sure whoever's on the bleeper button is ready. Make sure they're prepared. And then I'm like, look, but other than that, like, look, I'm fine with it because, one, I'm Australian. I'm used to kind of do this. I'm not changing anything. That's not my personality to be different on camera, off camera, or anything like that. I'm not one of those guys. That's just everything you see is who I am. And I'm not going to play it up or anything like that. I wish I could have heard him. I feel like I would have, there may not have been less cussing, but I feel like I would have been a little funnier. But being able to talk to him mid-pitch and just kind of like leg raised, being able to have a conversation with some guys in the booth. But I think it'll be an interesting time. But
well, the funniest part is
get us back.
Yeah. The funniest part is when you say, yeah, I don't think it's working. It's not working. No one can hear. Like, I can't hear anything. So it's not working. And that was just the classic,
Yeah, so I sat in the bullpen. They put it in. I sat in the bullpen. And it was those metal, like, kind of stadium chairs, the metal, like, benches. And I sat down. I got the pack wedged in the back. And so as I'm pulling it out, I'm like, oh, crap, I think I broke something. So I was like, okay, I can hear myself breathe, but I can't hear anything they're saying. So maybe I turned it off. Maybe I don't know what's going on. But I almost thought about, because I couldn't hear anything, just taking it off halfway through the inning. But I was like, if they can't hear me, I may as well keep it in. And it's already in there now. It's going to be, if I take it off, it's going to be whacking me in the face every time I throw a pitch. So
Fisher, you have any questions for them?
No, I just want to talk about that splitter Liam was playing around with.
If he adds a splitter or a knuckleball, that's going to create more work for you, right?
Now, I just got to say real quick, the coolest thing with Liam is, I can't remember if it was started 2020 or 21. Time is weird right now, but I remember you're horsing around with the splitter and you sent me some stuff and you're like, hey, is this 1400 RPMs? Is this good? I'm like, well, is the ball going where you want it to go? Yeah, but I can get that down. And like the next day, it's like 1100. Is that good? Like, same, man. I mean, can you keep? He's like, I can keep getting the revs down. Like, people work for years to learn how to throw one you're screwing around with. He sent me some data. It's like 900 RPMs. Like,
I think that was spring training of 2020, and I was just messing around with it, trying to get it going. But I ended up like, I dabble with either a splitty or a changeup or something every single year, and it's just trying to get something that I can feel like I can throw without having to change anything else. Because I realized that, like, so as Gio was talking about with the pronation and all that sort of stuff earlier, as soon as I stopped throwing my two seam, where I stopped trying to get like that on the ball, my four seam played up, my slider played up, my curveball started getting better. Everything kind of trended in that direction because I was not kind of forcing my wrist to go that way. I was just straight there. And as soon as I started doing that, I don't want to mess with anything into the point of like over pronating a changeup or making sure I get out there and flick a specific way with a split finger. That's not how I pitch. I pitch the exact same way. I'm trying to throw everything as hard as I can. And that was one of the things I needed, a grip it and rip it pitch. But I've been working this offseason back with a little bit of a changeup grip where it's just a grip it and rip it, throw as hard as I possibly can. But my big thing is like when I miss with a breaking ball, especially mine too, I miss down, I miss in the zone, I miss in the dirt and the other batter's box on the grass. I miss somewhere where I can't get beat with it. And if I'm going to miss with a changeup, generally I miss where somewhere I can get beat with it. And that's where it's dangerous for me. Is I don't want to have a pitch where I miss in the zone. I want to miss as a ball. And if it's a wasted pitch, it's a wasted pitch. But that's the one thing that I've always been hesitant on with either splitty or changeup. Or like I've been working on the changeup a little bit this year, just trying to get something that I can throw. And as like talking to Gio throughout the course of the year was interesting because he literally throws it just the same way he tries to throw it. It's just it's the way he does things, and that's something that gave me a little bit more of hope of being able to whip that every now and then, because there's probably 3 or 4 guys in the league that I'd really enjoy being able to throw that to. Purely because they're left-handed and they hit the fastball well, and there's that's a pitch I need. That's something straight that is going to be in the zone where I can actually get off my fastball a little bit more.
Was the changeup always your pitch, Gio? Was that like a pitch that you in high school and travel ball, whatever, that you were good at it?
No, I had no changeup until I was in low A, I think. Or I was starting to develop one after Tommy John surgery. So I was like starting to develop one like in rookie ball. It was just okay. And then it got pretty good in low A. I remember it was my first like full season back from Tommy John, and throwing curveballs made my elbow hurt a lot. So I got my catcher and it's like, hey, like I want to throw a different secondary pitch that doesn't, cause as much stress, or at least like as I'm coming back from surgery, trying to log innings and get my new elbow going, throw a pitch that's going to keep guys off balance, but not make me sore all the time. And so we started working on a changeup, and for like a few years, I was in between a 2-seam and a 4-seam grip. I had a lot of people tell me, oh, the 4-seam grip's better because it spins like your 4-seam fastball, and the hitters are going to see that spin and not be able to recognize, and they're going to swing through it, blah, 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 whatever. But as time went on, having like my fingers on the 2 seams just felt comfortable, and it feels easier, more controllable for whatever reason. Just for me personally, I'm not like telling whoever's listening to this to like only throw that, that's just how it worked out for me. And then it really like became my pitch as I got to higher levels and established myself in the big leagues.
Yeah, I've never heard, like, I know people say that you should do, you're a 4-seam guy, throw a 4-seam changeup. It doesn't seem, I mean, does that correlate, actually, Fisher, does that correlate to anything? Have you noticed that correlating? I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Look at where it comes off the fingers. At the end of the day, if you're going to throw a 4-seam changeup, it's going to come off the finger that way, and you want it to do kind of that. It's not going to spin like a 4-seam. It's going to end up spinning sideways still, no matter what grip you have. It's about the force rate and the profile that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I
Same
would
with a
think
slider.
that
Like a slider doesn't come off. If you get 4-seam slider guys, then it doesn't spin the same where they swing and miss at the slider. Like it's because it just disappears. It's all about making sure that it's tight. It doesn't have to have the high
Yeah.
spinner. It doesn't have to have everything like that. As long as it's tight, you'll be fine.
I just think it's important, like if someone's trying to develop a changeup, like do not overthink it. You have to just find what's comfortable and then do things to be able, like recognize what kind of changeup you want to throw first of all. Like Devin Williams throws a one of a kind pitch that is like the best changeup in baseball. It's ridiculous.
Looks
I
like it
don't know.
hurts.
I don't know how many people are ever going to be able to throw a pitch like that. Like he might be one of a kind, but it's like when I think of like really good changeups, like the Steven Strasburg changeup, that's a pitch that like a lot of guys try and emulate, is like the more higher velocity, maybe high 80s, low 90s, but you know, it's spinning sideways and like really moving a lot and breaking a lot. Or do you want to throw the one that maybe doesn't move as much, but is really slow? So it tunnels off your heater and it's really, really slow. And for me, I was able to figure out how to kill velocity through just like trying to be really smooth and not use my legs as much. That's
I was
it.
going to ask
Let
you
the
that.
grip
So
take care of the rest.
do you feel like, so you kill your lower half a little bit too?
I still like want to be stable and strong in my lower half, but I'm not like ripping like really, really hard and trying to like explode crazy. Except for like
The
the
old
one I threw
scrunchy toes
against.
trick.
Yeah, except for like the one, you know, every once in a while I have, you know, I try and throw that like bastard 2-strike one and then I'll rip it really hard.
Yeah, I remember you telling me like I don't throw a changeup that'll make Pitching Ninja like standing on its own, and then you threw that one to Trout, and I was like, oh yeah, like that one was that was an alien, just an absolute alien pitch.
Yeah, and then
That's the
you
trick.
know, hopefully
Yeah.
when you know, as I log more innings and get better and improve in all sorts of areas, I'll be able to like go to that whenever I want. And it's like you said at the beginning of our chat today, oh, you throw 2 different kinds of changeups. Kind of, but not like on purpose all the time. But like maybe you ask me that question in 2 years, I'll be like, yep, I know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, that would be sick.
That'd be nice.
It's more work for Fisher, but that's good work.
You need the Grinky changeup, the one that's faster than your fastball.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
that.
right.
But someone's still out in front of somehow.
Yeah, and he just gets nasty movement. I mean, it almost acts like a splitter. It's just filthy. And like he
Throws a
uses
fastball at
movement.
91.
Yeah,
Throws a fastball at 91. Throws his changeup at 90, and it's like the way they swing it, it's like a 15-mile difference. It's wild.
yeah, it's crazy. Well, we should wrap up. I'll let you guys go on with your lives. But thanks again, guys.
See you guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.